We know that you were born magical. We know that you are intuitive, and we know that you are brimming with everyday enchantment. Here at the Sisters Enchanted, we believe in intention, we believe in intuition, and we believe in everyday magic. Welcome in to the Expedition to Soul podcast. Welcome to this episode of the Expedition to Soul podcast. I'm Sarah, founder of the Sisters Enchanted, joined by the always lovely Anna, my real life sister.
And co-founder here at the Sisters Enchanted.
And our podcast is aptly named Expedition to Soul because our free class Expedition to Soul starts in less than a week. It starts April 18th. And it's your last few days to get registered. Anna, do you remember the first Expedition to Soul?
Oh my goodness. Do I remember the first Expedition to Soul? Do you remember the first Expedition to Soul?
I do. I recorded the videos on our old HQ. We had like a classroom where Anna and one of our astrology teachers, Nick, who lives local to us, they taught some astrology classes there, and it was our plan to keep, we were going to teach classes there. But then I didn't have time to teach in person. And then we just ultimately decided to let that space go. And now we have a different HQ. But I guess that was our first headquarters, our first HQ. And I recorded the first Expedition to Soul there. I got the idea.
I remember the videos. I remember like you on the couch with also the sparkly lights. It was also shimmery and magical.
Those aren't the videos we use. I re-recorded them last time though.
I know.
I forgot about that till now. I think in like one of them, a fire truck drove by or something. There was like a motorcycle. And it was really hot in there. And I was just like, we got to do this in one take. Like I cannot redo this. And though it was the whole idea came very quickly. I was just like, I don't know, like got out of the shower or woke up one day and was like, this is what we're going to do. And I had one sticky note, one small, like, what are they, like 3x3 or 4x4, like your standard sticky note, however big those are. Yes, Anna's holding one up if you're watching the YouTube version or on like Spotify video. That's all I had. And then everything else just flowed out. And here we are almost 3 years later. The first one was June 2019.
I remember how much excitement there was about it and how much positive like feedback there was and how it just kind of like hit the ground and like took off and became like its own. Expedition to Soul became like its own like magical entity.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because after all, aren't we all always on an expedition to soul? Like really?
I think so.
Last week there was an email that went out around for the first quarter moon, and I posed the question in the email and I asked, like, when it's time to live your intentions, we'll say like, what are your intentions for a lunar cycle, right? And then it becomes the phase where we talk about integrating those. So we follow this intention to intuition framework. We also call it the 5 I's because it involves 5 words that start with the letter I.
And really excellent names still somewhere in the universe that we can't quite.
We wanted like a fancy name for it and cannot find one. Anyway, so the first part of it is setting intentions. The second part is integrating them. When we talk about integrating our intentions, we talk about like, how are you living your intention? And the question I asked was not just how are you living it in your physical life, but how are you embodying it in your energy? How are you, the word integrate is to take something and make it whole, like to take 2 parts, make it whole. And when we talk about our intentions, how do we integrate them into our life in our physical world, but how do we also integrate them into our energetic body?
Yes.
before it even becomes a thing in your life? That is the question. That is the expedition to soul.
That was deep.
So true. I mean, like, we hear from people intentions, and they're pretty like the intentions are often pretty similar. Like, it's to feel joy, it's to feel healthy, to feel like self-love, feel worthy, to feel abundant in time. Like, people aren't as different as you think. You think there's all these people out there and no one can relate to your experience. Well, let me tell you, hundreds of thousands of people have crossed our digital path in the last 6 years. And I can tell you that our threads that weave us together, they are all the same threads. They are the same threads, might be a different color, might like the background might be a little different. It's the same damn thread that's weaving us all together. And so when we like really look at that, you can say, my intention is to feel healthy. My intention is to feel confident with money. My intention is to feel joy. My intention in my life is always time and location freedom. That's what I want, time and location freedom. And so how do you be that before you have it? Because when you set an intention for something, and I do have, for the most part, time and location freedom. That said, there are some things, like I have financial responsibilities that as a business owner, that can sometimes make it challenging to truly be time free, because I have to show up, for work still. And I have cats. I have two elderly cats who live in my house, who are old and very poorly behaved. So, because of them, I can't rehome them. They are my cats. I've had them for 15 years and they're not going anywhere, but that sort of hinders my location freedom. So while I have some of my intention, I don't have it fully yet. And how do you embody your intention before you actually have it? That's that expedition to soul piece. So how do I embody time and location freedom when I kind of have it, but not all the way? How do you embody the intention of health if you don't feel healthy? How do you embody the intention of financial abundance or self-worth if you don't have those things right now? That's the expedition to soul.
Yes. Expedition to soul, the quest to self.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That often needs revisiting.
Yes. I was going to say, not to be confused with our podcast, which is typically full of shenanigans, but that's part of the expedition. You got to make it fun.
Yes.
I just made that smacking noise with my mouth. Somebody complained to us specifically about that, so I try not to do it.
I try not to fidget, because somebody complained about my fidgeting once, and I just can't not fidget.
I know. Me too. It's really hard keeping all this fun energy inside.
Right, we can try to visit these issues during our next expedition to soul, our quest to self. Although, this is just how I am. I just fidget.
No, just be yourself. That's what makes you awesome. So I wanted to present to everybody, for your listening pleasure on this day, 3 things I want you to do, or I think you should do, to be fully prepared to quest with us on an expedition to soul. Firstly, let's just lay out what's been happening here at the Sisters Enchanted. If you followed along with our self-care challenge, maybe you didn't, totally fine. We have a free guide, like you can download it, do it yourself. But we hosted a free challenge. We start with this self-care challenge. We actually did this for the first time just 6 months ago. We didn't always do this. This is not as old as Expedition to Soul is. It's a baby compared to Expedition to Soul. We on the Sisters Enchanted, very small 6-year timeline. We do the self-care challenge because so much, every time we do Expedition to Soul, here's what we hear: I don't have time to keep up. No one will let me do it. I totally forgot about it. I'm a failure because I suck at things and never remember. I'm a procrastinator and didn't do it. This is what we hear from people. Newsflash, remember that thread I talked about? Everybody is all of those things. I am all of those things. Anna is all of those things. The difference between a person who knows they're those things and the person who sees them and is just like, I suck because of this, that first person who might be like, yeah, I'm a procrastinator, yet is still doing the things in their life, it's because they know what they have intentions set. They have them set and they have a path to creating them, which is what we teach in our programs. Our holistic witchery programs entirely dialed in around that. That's the difference, is a person who's like, I know myself for who I am. I've done my shadow work, and I can be a procrastinator and still be really awesome and still do awesome things. Both things can be true. So we do the self-care challenge to sort of like paint the picture for you. Then we do Expedition to Soul. And if you love that, we invite you to join us on Holistic Witchery. So we're going to tell you 3 things to prepare to quest with us. And Anna and I are also going to try to think about and share what it is that we're going to focus on during this Expedition to Soul. My first tip, and then I'm going to turn this to Anna because I just keep talking. And maybe that's because, I talk a lot all the time, but I did walk into a very heavy piece of metal directly on my head on Monday, and it's still aching behind my eyeball. Like if I could describe the pain, behind the back of my eyeball hurts. That's how I would describe it. And so maybe it's just unleashed something in me. Anyway, my first tip, when you sign up for Expedition to Soul, there are on the class page 5 buttons, little orange buttons. They say day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. If you click those, you can add the times to the live streams to your calendar. Do you hear that noise?
I do hear that noise.
Something is askew. I have no
idea. Is happening, and it's not in my space.
It's here. It's here. I don't know what it is. But you click those buttons and it will add the times to the live streams to your calendar. Alternatively, you can hit going to the events in the Facebook group, and then you'll get notified. Even if you don't plan to watch the videos live, add them to your calendar, because you'll get a reminder on your digital calendar on Facebook, which will remind you that you've signed up for this cool thing, and it will remind you to check in. So that is my first tip. Use those things, those reminders. People tell us all the time that they're just too scatterbrained, they're this or that. I am the queen of scatterbrained, the absolute queen of it. Reminders. That's how I get things done. Now, before we reveal the next 2 tips, Anna, tell me more about Expedition to Soul. What do you love witnessing in our community? And what is it that you are going to work on during this quest?
I love seeing the moments that people give themselves. Like you said, not everybody's perfect. It's 5 days, like 5 consecutive days. Some people do like a day and then they miss a day and they do a day. But I love when somebody like shares something that they did. They got outside for 20 minutes by themselves. They took a walk on their lunch break at work. They took, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, and they did something for themselves that's quest related. So I love that when somebody like shares, like, I did something, like even if it seems small, just any kind of anything is a big win. And I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. My favorite thing in Expedition to Soul is the cave day, because it's our day that we kind of sprinkle a little bit of astrological goodness on the quest, and we talk about moon signs and astrology. And I'm actually really excited for that day specifically, because I feel like, and we all do this, that we're all shadowy, like always, daily. We're all shadowy. The shadow work never ends. We're here for it. The shadow work never ends. But that awareness of your shadowy bits is how you like progress past them. And I know that I'm super excited for that day specifically, because me, like many others, I find myself oftentimes like hitting a wall of, procrastination, feeling unworthy, extreme amounts of guilt, being pulled in many different directions, feeling like you can't win because you're like trying to make this part of your life happy, but then this part of your life seems to suffer even if it's not, and vice versa. So I'm really excited about Cave Day again, because I always learn something about myself and my moon sign while trying to get through navigating my moon sign and what it means for me. And then seeing people being like, that makes so much sense, because astrology does in fact make so much sense if you give it a listen. So I really just love cave day and like having that kind of like shadow release that comes with it.
The shadow release. Yes. Yeah. I think that, well, let me give tip number 2, and then I'll share what I'm going to work on.
Okay.
Did you really say, or are you just like in general open to receiving?
I think just in general open to receiving. I guess what I'm most excited to work on, if I want to be, I guess, more specific, is I think work on always time management with me, because I'm bad with time management, but then also trying not to take everything so personally. Yeah. And having like a quest that's like very focused on like myself, my own well-being, because I struggle just in general with scatteredness and absent-mindedness and just general overwhelm. And I think like really trying to have like 5 days where you're really focusing on yourself first and like your needs or your creative projects or just anything that you want to do for yourself, and then not having guilt afterwards would be really nice. Because I think I'm kind of like in a rut of like self-placed guilt. And I think Expedition to Soul really gives you like a moment to focus your attention somewhere else and do something that's really productive and proactive. And it resets kind of the cycle of something that you're doing, so that you can, after your expedition, you can start back on a path that's more forward moving instead of stagnant or stuck.
Yeah.
Did I answer it more specifically that time?
Yes, you did. I'll hold you to it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
No.
Teaching Expedition to Soul. And worrying about my own self. Yeah. Just kidding. I can follow up with you for sure. Be like, Anna, how about that self-placed guilt? And you'll be like, meh. Yeah. Just talking about guilt. My second tip for success in our quest is to check out the pre-work. So if you registered already, you have some pre-work materials. There are videos and prompts in the field guide. If you've not registered, you have plenty of time to check them out. There's the Facebook group. We've got support in there, live streams and pre-work threads for you. And of course, it's on the class page. So that pre-work involves kind of some energy maps, looking at the energy of your home space, yourself. Often people get really stuck on those and they're like, I'm not doing it right, or I'm not an artist. Well, listen, I am not an artist. Anybody who's ever seen me like draw a stick figure on a class will tell you I am no artist, but you can still draw that stick figure. And then like, how do you imagine your energy? I'll never forget the time I drew the map of my house, showed it to my husband, and he was like, I don't know whose house you live in, but that is not how our house is shaped. And I was looking at it because I was like, no, that's definitely like, that's right. Then he looked at me like I had 5 heads or something. He was like, we do not have a hallway like straight down to the end of the house. Because I drew our hallway like to the back, like fully to the end of the house. But there's like a room at the end of the house. And I was like, guess that's not our house. So when you make your maps, I wouldn't worry too much about perfection, and just doing the activity is the point of it.
I believe you drew the whole house and not just like a room. Like I probably would have like drawn like a square for each room I have and then like labeled it like kitchen square.
Now you live in a okay, this is how like in my own world I am, because you live in a 2-story house and I live in a small 1-story house. And it never occurred to me the struggle of having to like map a 2-story house. Now you have 2 pictures. I just have one that I can't even manage that. And your house has like angles to it. I don't know.
I would not draw any of that. I would just draw a square for
each room. That seems too much. Like that one room on your upstairs that has like an angled entrance. No, doesn't like one of the kids' rooms have like a angled entrance? Do I not know your house either? Anna said to me the other day that she's like, I just don't like that my house is yellow. And I was like, your house isn't yellow. She's like, yes, it is. I was like, no, it's like a gray. She's like, yellow. See, everybody who thinks that you all have problems, I don't know the color of Anna's house that I've seen 100 times. I don't know. My hallway isn't placed where I think it's placed in my mind. And yet here we are. So
I know that Sarah's house is in some sort of like house color limbo. And at one time it was a minty green, and now it's like half minty green and half gray.
yeah, it's like
And
yeah, it's one of those Oreos. It's chocolate on one side and golden on the other.
and and because of that project, I've learned some things about soffits and soffits and siding and foundations. Oh my.
Yeah, no. Well, anyway, do the pre-work. That's my second tip. And
You don't have to draw your siding. It's okay.
No, you don't have to do that. The thing that I think I am going to work on in this quest is I would really just love to just clear my mind. I have a lot of just like decisions and up in the air things and kind of like, what is the path forward sort of things in my life right now. And I'm having a really challenging time separating out the path forward, like from like people, because I tend to people please. I don't like to make hard decisions, like nobody does, but I really will like avoid making them at all costs. And so I have a lot of path forward thinking to do. And I would like to gain some clarity on the path, like what that looks like. So my favorite parts, well, the whole thing, when you were talking about the moon day being your favorite, I was like, I don't think I can pick a favorite. But day one, I do love day three, the moon signs and shadow work. But for me, I think day one and day two are the most like, it's like this, like if you're on a roller coaster that just starts out of the gate, like whipping you up, that's like day one, day two, day three. Day one, day two, day three, it's like shooting out. Day one, it's like, we're going to talk about your own energy. Day two, it's being your own best friend. Day three, we get into shadow work. Then day four, it's more like coming down off of it. Like, what's your magical tool to support you forward? Day five is kind of the decompression of the whole thing. So day one, day two, day three, though, are just like, whoa, this is who I am and how did I get here and what am I doing next? Yeah, I'm looking forward to those, but that's kind of what I'm doing. Just like path forward. What is the path forward? That's what I'm going to work on. And I guess
Forward
is the path forward. Yeah, I don't know. And something I'm struggling with too is like every decision every option doesn't feel like the right option, because I can see, well, if I make this choice, it's helpful now, but like stunting in the long run. But then in the long run, like what is my long run? Like my long run for me personally is time and location freedom. So then what else? Like, what are the choices I'm making now that are either helping or hindering that? And are they helping and hindering like in the short term, but then doing the opposite in the long term? So, and what is that? So just lots of thinking to do. And also that shadow work, pulling out of it, where I just have to say like, just what about me is attaching to things that aren't serving me, but I'm not willing to like, I'm somehow not making choices to make that stuff not happen, So why, Sarah? Why? So, I mean, we're all working on this together. Third tip. So our first tip was to put the times on your calendar, use the digital reminders for Expedition to Soul. Even if you don't plan to be at things live, it will just remind you like, hey, you signed up for this thing, participate. The second thing is do the pre-work. It'll really like get you thinking and in the zone. Even if you don't know what it is you want to like discover. This isn't like some classes where you take an online class and it's like, you will learn these 3 things during this class. We're like, no, this is a presentation into you and how you choose to explore this and integrate it. Like really, it's going to be unique to you. But the pre-work might help you like find your footing and figure out, what do I want to focus on? Mm-hmm. The third thing, we have a thread in the group and the group is set up so you can only comment on threads. Unless you join us in the upgraded experience. We do have an upgraded experience. It's $39. So it's super amazing, like no brainer to register. That group is held in our app and you can freely post in there. The reason we do this is because there are like 15,000 people in the Facebook group for this. And anybody who's been part of a Facebook group with lots of people in it knows how quickly things can go south with all the strangers on the internet. on the Book of Face. So we have it set up so that you can only comment on posts from admins in there. If you want to like be able to chat freely, we do have the upgraded experience. We're sending stickers in the mail to people who register for that. They're nice. You can put them on like your favorite travel mug or something. They can go in the dishwasher. If you're a person who puts stickers on your car, you can do that. They're weatherproof. But we're mailing stickers out to remind you also of your quest here, like every day, even ongoing. There's bonus videos, bonus Zoom videos, and you're invited to join us to our membership only co-witching session for the new moon. The next new moon, that's where our members and our Enchanted Journey membership come together. And really, it's so interesting. We just kind of say like, this is what's happening this lunar cycle. And then everybody does their own thing for like 30 minutes. And then we come back and kind of debrief and share, but it's to inspire you to take that time out again. So anyway, go to the introductory post in the Facebook group if you're there, or if you join us in the upgraded experience, and introduce yourself. And that is helpful for a couple of reasons. If you're on Facebook and you're just taking the free class, if you comment on a post, it'll help Facebook like show you the posts again, so you don't forget about it. But it also just helps you get to know other people. You know, people might say hi, you might realize somebody lives near you or somebody has a similar situation. So come introduce yourself, put yourself out there, put the times on your calendar, and do the pre-work. Those are my 3 tips for a successful expedition to Soul.
Good tips.
Yes, good tips, good tips. All right then. Well, guess that's it, Anna. You have any last words?
I don't.
You have like a bonus pro tip?
A what?
A bonus pro tip for Expedition to Soul? Anna's pro tip.
Well, I was going to say another tip would be to pull up your birth chart so you can find out where your moon sign is, and have it ready and in your back pocket for that day that we do that. Because there's nothing worse than showing up for that day and then not knowing what your moon sign is and being like, what's my moon sign? So find out your moon sign. It's super easy to do. So do that and get to know it a little bit on a surface level, and then get ready to do some shadow sparring.
Shadow work time.
Yes. That's
all
my
right.
tip.
Yeah, I like it. That's a good pro tip. All right, y'all. Well, we hope to see you in Expedition to Soul. Be sure to register if you have not yet. expeditiontosoul.com is where you can register. And after you register for the free class, on your class page, there's a link if you want to join the upgraded version. And of course, we will pop that in the comments everywhere, the description where you're watching this. Come join us there, because that is where we're going to be doing like bonus live streams and things like that too, to help you out. Oh, and our friend Rochelle, she's the healer. She does a healing visualization activity for our membership community every month, our Enchanted Journey membership. And she's hosting a healing on the first, well, a visualization on the first day of Expedition to Soul, April 18th. So she's hosting that live, but you can watch the replay too. So that's a bonus. Take the upgraded version of class.
She's fantastic.
She is. She's a bubbly person, and it's a good thing because she gets like so many insights and intuitive knowings and psychic experience that it's a good thing she's so bubbly, because they can balance it all out.
Yeah, she always seems like she's having a really great time.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, super fun.
All right, everyone. Well, we'll see you in Expedition to Soul, expeditiontosoul.com. And it starts April 18th. Pack your quest packs and let's hit the road.
Let's do it.
Expedition to Soul.
Huzzah.
Huzzah. All right, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody have a magical day ahead.
Yes. Goodbye.
Bye.